Hey, what's up guys? BenThebLurr here today, bringing you a different video than anything I've ever actually done before. So basically, I want to give a little bit of backstory before we crack into this video. I have basically wanted to be playing Dungeons and Dragons for like about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I kind of started doing research here and there, and I love Lord of the Rings. I didn't know if there was any sort of Dungeons and Dragons Lord of the Rings edition, and I was searching around online, and then I found this. This is Adventures in Middle-earth. So this is basically the Lord of the Rings edition of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and as you can see there, it has the 5th edition logo. So this is basically this says the player's guide, and this is kind of like the player's handbook and the Dungeon Master's guide for 5th edition, but merged into one book, but based in the world of Middle-earth. So this can be worked with the monster manual and the Dungeon Master's handbook and whatever, and the player's handbook for proper D&D, and it works really well together. So I've basically bought this, and I've been kind of writing up this one-shot story game for me, Kieran, Annie, and my friend Kaylee, and we're all part of the GSP channel, so you should go check that out. And we're all part of the Shadow Protocol movie, and that will be linked in the description. Basically, I just kind of wanted to give a little quick 15-20 minute sample session a go by myself, just so, you know, I can get the hang of being the Dungeon Master, or in this case, in this book, it says the Loremaster. So I have created a character. This is my character sheet right here. I do have, obviously, the player's guide. I do have a set of blue dice and a set of red dice. And what I'm going to do is, because I'm playing as both the Loremaster and the player, when I play as the Loremaster, I will have the red 20-sided dice out on the table, and I will be, you know, talking in a funny voice. And when I'm playing as the player, I will have the blue 20-sided dice out on the table and just be talking normally. So I have created a little 15-minute, I guess you could say, cave expedition for my character to play as. I've got my battle mat here. This is my very own Dungeon Master's wall. I made it myself. I basically copied and pasted pictures from online, from stats from the the monster manual, the player's handbook, because I don't have any of it. And on this side it's completely plain. There's nothing. On this side it has all of my, you know, everything I basically need to know, and I wrote up some of my own things that I might need to remember. So yeah. So I think what we'll do is we'll get crack right into it. So let's get on. Alright, so before we get cracking, I just want to introduce my character here. I am going to be playing as Talion Stormmaster. He's a Dunedain Wanderer. So in Adventures in Middle-earth, you have, I think it's 7 classes, 6 or 7 classes, and they basically renamed them to suit the Lord of the Rings world a bit more. So a Wanderer is basically like the Ranger class. So he is going to be a Dunedain Ranger, and he has a Fallen Scion background, which basically means Talion comes from this very rich, wealthy, and very impactful family of Dunedain people. So he's basically also one of the last members of his bloodline. So this character is a lot like Aragorn, except he's not meant to be heir to the throne of a city or meant to be king or whatever. He just comes from a very rich and powerful background. So with that, his character traits here basically kind of sum up that he's the last he's either the last or one of the last members of his bloodline. And he basically knows that he comes from a wealthy and impactful background, and he just wants to prove himself worthy of his family's legacy. So that's pretty much the idea. He's basically, he's a good guy, he helps out when he can, but he also wants to prove himself so that, you know, he can be like, I am worthy of, making my ancestors proud. So that's pretty much his backstory. He is equipped with a broadsword, a great bow, and a dagger. So those are his 3 weapons. You have his ability checks here, you have his saving throws here, and his skills here. So, yeah, basically that's kind of it. Yeah. I will say, however, before we get in, is there aren't any proper Adventures in Middle-earth minifigures for the tabletop game. Like there are with like Warhammer and Dungeons and Dragons. So I included an element that was kind of easier for me to use, and that is Lego. So I made up this little guy. This is what Talion is meant to look like. So yeah, he has his broadsword, his great bow, he has a black shirt, a little greyish blue cape as well, because obviously he's a ranger, so it's the cloak himself. Black hair, brown gloves. Yeah, basically that's it. So so yeah, so I think without further ado, let's just get cracking right into it. You are playing as Talion Stormmaster, a young Dunedain wanderer, seeking to prove himself worthy of his family legacy, aiming to make his ancestors proud of his achievements to the Wilderland. You have been sent by Lord Elrond to find and locate Caldon the Sleek, a rogue Dunedain bandit who has been thieving and murdering innocent people of the Wilderland. You have been tracking him for many weeks and followed his footprints to a small cave opening on the slopes of the Misty Mountains. Everybody knows that if Caldon manages to keep thieving and murdering innocent people, he could eventually join the side of the Shadow and be a servant of Sauron. Okay, so that's our backstory there for this game. So I've obviously come up to this cave opening. So I think what I'm going to do first off is I'm going to just walk up to this small opening, crouch behind this little boulder here, and I'm going to see if I can hear anything, if I can hear anything in this cave. So I'm going to do that. So make a perception roll. Alright, so perception roll, first skill check. I've got here on my skill list, perception is a wisdom skill check. So, and on this little bit here that I have written down is +4. So +4. So I'm going to say, in order to listen, I'm going to make it easy, I'm going to say a 10. So I'm going to need to roll a 6 or higher, because 6 plus 4 is 10. Simple maths. So I'm going to say I'm going to need a 10. Oh, 2. 2 plus 4 is 6, so I'm not going to be able to listen to anything in particular. So, as you listen very carefully, you cannot hear anything in particular, but you can hear a faint whistling or whispering that's deep into the cave. Okay, so, alright, because I can't hear anything, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk quietly into the cave and stand here. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do now, I think I'm going to want to explore this room first. So I'm going to walk in very calmly and I'm going to inspect the room. Make an investigation check. Alright, so... Oh! 20. Now, investigation here is an intelligence skill check, and it has this little black dot next to it here. When that's coloured in, that basically means I'm proficient with it. So if we take a look, my intelligence ability modifier is +3. My proficiency bonus is up here, which is +2. So 3 plus 2 equals 5. Now, because I'm in this room, I say I'm going to make it a bit harder. I'm going to say 12. So I'm going to need to roll on this a 7 or higher in order to investigate this room to see if I find anything suspicious. 14. So 14 plus 5 equals 19. When inspecting the room, you find certain amounts of furniture, such as a table a large table with cutlery and all sorts of cooking equipments, a barrel of oil, a weapon rack with nothing in it, a table with 2 old plates, and a bale of hay. There is a small flickering campfire in the center of the room that glows up this area, but keeps the rest of this cave system very dark. Okay, so... I think this is just kind of where this guy eats. Obviously, he doesn't want to, you know, put anything too easy in the very first room. So, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sneaky, and I'm going to very quietly, not crawl, but crouch walk all the way over and into this room. Make a stealth check. Alright, so stealth check. I'm going to say I'm going to need, again, a 12. So stealth is here. It's a dexterity skill. It's +6. So I'm going to need to roll a 6 or higher. 12. 12 plus 6 is 18. Yes, I definitely do it. So, I've obviously successfully sneaked into this room. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a look around this room and see if there's anything out of the ordinary. There is nothing too out of the ordinary. You do manage to see an old rusty anvil, and what you can only assume used to be a lava pit, and a barrel of old water, which you can only assume used to make weaponry in this very cave. But the lava has since been extinguished, and has become molten rock. Okay. Alright, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to want to see if I can recognise any of the materials in this room. Because I know that elves have very rich and very sharp weaponry. Can I identify if this is, I don't know, an elven cave or something like that? Make a history check. Alright, so a history check. So history, I am proficient with the history skill. It's intelligence 1. I have a bonus of +5. Now I'm going to say, because I have that, I'm going to say I need a... I'm going to need a 10. So a 10 or higher. So let's get on with this. 14. 14 plus 5 is 19, so... You don't see any materials in particular, but one thing catches your eye unlike anything you've seen before. You do notice an inscription on the rim of this fire pit, and it's written in what you can only assume is Dwarvish, as there is a small symbol at the very tip of the curve, which is a glowing stone. Okay, so this definitely must have been a Dwarvish mine then, seeing as the writing, the inscriptions on this is written in Dwarvish. So I'm going to assume this obviously used to be from when the dwarves used to live in the land of Moria, which is obviously in the Misty Mountains, and this is obviously probably very close to Moria. So I'm going to accept that this Caldon has obviously maybe found this cave and assumed that it's a dwarven mine shaft, and has probably cleared it all out of all of the goods. So I'm just going to turn around. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk along here and into this room. And I'm going to see if I can see anything particular in this room. Anything that stands out. When you look inside the room, you do see 4 old rotting bedrolls. They're obviously 4 foot tall, or maybe more. But you do also see a very, very small chest in the corner. It has an old rusty padlock that's obviously aged for probably some time. Okay. Alright. So because I've obviously assumed that this cave used to belong to the dwarves of Moria, and there's been the inscriptions here, I'm going to assume that these bedrolls used to belong to those dwarves. And this used to be maybe where they used to just maybe sleep if there was a stormy day out after a hard day's work. So, yeah, I think what I'm going to do, because I'm a ranger, I don't trust this chest. Seeing as it's a small chest with a rusty lock on it, I'm going to assume this might be a trap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up over here. I will obviously take out my bow, knock an arrow, raise it up, and I'm going to fire it towards the padlock of the chest. Okay, so we've got our first little combat session. Obviously this padlock / chest that I'm shooting at isn't going to be able to fight back from me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically pluck up some numbers to come up with an armor class and hit points for this padlock of this chest. I'm going to say the armor class is going to be 8 and the hit points is going to be 3. 8 and 3. Nice and easy. So, because I'm using my great bow, I have an attack bonus of +4. That basically means because I need 8, I need to roll 4 or more on this dice in order to successfully hit the padlock. Then what I'm going to do is, if I do manage to hit it, I will roll a 1d8 for piercing damage. If I roll 3 or higher, it means the padlock will successfully break apart into pieces. So, come on, 4 or more. Oh, 15. So 15 plus 4 is 19. That's nice. So I fire. So as I raise my bow up, I look steadily at the padlock and I release the arrow as it flies through the air, making a noise and buries itself into the padlock. Now it's going to deal a total. I need 3 damage or more in order to successfully break it apart. So let's do this. 5! 5. Nice. Okay. So, the Loremaster is now going to say, as your arrow buries itself into the hole, the key entrance to this padlock, it shatters into several small pieces. When that happens, the chest jars open a slight bit. Okay. Can I inspect the chest from a distance to see if there's any sort of, I don't know, explosives or anything inside? Can I see if there's anything in particular that might be a trap? Make an investigation check. Alright, so I'm going to make an investigation check. So here, investigation, I have a bonus of +5. I'm going to say, because I'm going from a distance, I'm going to need a 12. So I need to roll 7 or more. Okay, I roll a 9. A 9 because there's a dot at the bottom right, so that's good. So 9 plus 5 equals 14, and I needed 12, so that's good. So the Loremaster is going to say, you don't manage to see any explosives, but you notice a tripwire in the corner. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk up to the chest and I'm going to attack the tripwire with my broadsword. I'm going to see if I can cut the tripwire before it activates. So I'm going to say for the tripwire, it's going to have, let's go with what we went with the padlock. An armor class of 8, hit points of 3. Now those numbers I have made up, but in the Dungeons and Dragons player's handbook, it does actually have specific armor class and hit points for items, such as like a net, or a trapdoor, or yeah, a padlock for example. But I just made them up on the spot, so let's get this 8 to my broadsword here. It's a melee weapon. I have an attack bonus of +5, so I can roll a 3 or higher in order to successfully hit it. Okay, I got, oh, it's a 14. 14, so nice. So 14 plus 5 is 19. So I do manage to successfully cut the wire, and my broadsword does 1d8 slashing. I'm going to need to roll a 3 or higher. If I don't, I'm probably going to trip this tripwire if I don't successfully cut it completely. So come on, 3 or higher. Oh, 7. Nice. 7. So the Loremaster is going to say, as you cut the wire, the chest completely opens, revealing nothing. There's been nothing in the chest. Nothing, huh? Okay. Well, I can assume that this tripwire and this padlock, the whole reason why this was here, was to probably fake people out. This guy, cowled on the sleek, is probably a very sinister dude. He's probably not gonna wanna make things easy for anybody. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to assume that he's down this little corridor of this cave, and I'm gonna walk up to here very sneakily. When you get right here, you hear a small twang, and you need to make a dexterity saving throw. So saving throws is basically when there's an outside threat. So for example, if let's say your character is running down a mountain and let's say a boulder is following them, they won't need to make the boulder won't inflict damage or roll for an attack. You will have to roll for a save. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna need to make a dexterity saving throw of 12. My dexterity saving throw bonus is +4, so I need 8 or higher. Ooh, 1. Okay, so 1 + 4 is 5. That's not gonna do it. So the Loremaster is gonna say, once you hear the sharp twang, you notice that the hay bale on the floor is covering a few slots of planks of wood that begin to fall down. So I'm gonna say, am I falling down with it, or am I just still on the edge? Hearing this, you manage to dart back slightly, but the hay bale and the planks of wood fall into a large hole in the ground. I think what I'm gonna do is, because I've obviously set off this trap, I'm gonna hide around this corner here by this bedroll, and I'm gonna see if I can be sneaky enough to not alert anybody who might be in this chamber. Make another stealth check. Alright, so I've obviously darted back here. So I'm gonna say the difficulty class for this is gonna be 14, since I've accidentally tripped this trap. And my stealth bonus is +6, so I need to roll an 8 or higher to successfully conceal myself. Ooh, 17. 17 + 6 equals 23, so I definitely do that. As you hear the clanking of wood down a small hole, you notice that the sound isn't too loud. It doesn't echo through the caves. Okay, so luckily for me, that was pretty quiet. So I think what I'm gonna do is, because I've already been very stealthy enough to not let this be too loud and not let myself be too loud and be noticed, I'm gonna walk over here and I'm gonna attempt to jump over this this hole now that's been created in the floor. Make an acrobatics check. Okay, so acrobatics on here is the top one, +4. So I'm gonna say I need a 10 or higher, so I need to roll a 6. 6 or more. That was, I believe, an 8. Yeah, an 8. Okay, so the Loremaster, sorry, is going to say, you do successfully manage to leap across the hole, landing very softly and quietly on the other side of this new chasm in the floor. When you land, though, you notice a hooded green figure fiddling with a chest in the corner of this room. Okay, so because I've been following Cald on the Sleek, I'm going to assume that this is him, seeing as he's a hooded figure. So I think what I'm going to do is, because I'm quite a kind of wanting to prove myself, I think Talion is just going to straight up attack him without giving any second thoughts. So I am going to take off my bow again, raise it up, knock an arrow, and I'm going to aim it towards him. Okay, so the way combat works in the game is, obviously it's turn-based, but the first thing before you do is you need to ask yourself, is anybody surprised? If yes, then that means the person who is surprising the other character, they get to go first. Then you obviously roll for initiative, and then whoever, obviously, every character has their initiative bonus. Now your initiative bonus is your dexterity modifier. So my dexterity modifier for Talion is +4. So let's say I rolled a 13. So 13 plus 4 is 17. Now, I have written down some notes here for Caldon the Sleek. I've given him armor class, hit points, some of these stats and his 2 weapons that he has. Now his dexterity bonus is +1. If he then rolled a 10, 10 plus 1 is 11, 14 plus 3 for Talion is 17, which means Talion would go first. So basically, Talion would be able to would attack him, because he is being surprised. Then he'd turn around, notice Talion, and then Talion would get to go again, because that's the order of combat. And it would go to him, to him, to him, to him, and so on, back and forth. Does that make sense? So, because obviously Caldon hasn't noticed me, I'm going to fire my arrow. So I'm going to say, right, over on here, his armor class is 12. Now with my attack bonus for my great bow is 4, which means I need 8 or higher to successfully hit him with my arrow. So, I roll, 14. 14 plus 4 is 18. So I'm going to say, as I raise up my bow, I fire it directly towards his shoulder blades, trying to pierce his shoulder. And as my arrow flies through the air, it buries it into his left shoulder. Now I'm going to deal my 1d8 piercing damage. So, his health points, his hit points are 11. Okay, so he is going to be dealt 2 damage points. So Caldon will go from 11 to 9. I'm going to put this chest here just for the sake. As Caldon turns around, he lets out a sharp groan of pain, going, "Ah! Who are you? Why have you come here?" So now we're going to roll for initiative. So, my initiative bonus is +4. His is his dexterity as well, which is +1. I've got both of these in both hands, so 12 and 16. So 16 plus 1 is 17. So Caldon has 17. 12 plus 4 is 16. So this means Caldon is only 1 point away. He's higher, so he will go first. So, the Loremaster is going to say, having the sharp pain of an arrow buried in his shoulder, Caldon unsheathes his scimitar and charges towards you. And Talion's armor class here is 16. So, he needs to roll 16 or higher to hit Talion. And his attack bonus is +3. So he needs to roll 13 or higher in order to successfully hit Talion. 16. Okay, 16 plus 3 is 19, which means he definitely hits Talion. Caldon, as he charges at you, he lifts up his arm and swings it at you, saying, "Die, you imbecile!" And he deals a total, damage bonus 1d6 plus 1. So, 1d6. Okay, 6 plus 1 is 7, which means Talion has 7 hit points. So I'm going to mark it down there on my character sheet. Now that means my current hit points are 14. So that means I basically have half health left now. So, because he's just gone, I'm going to say Talion puts his bow on his back, unsheathes his broadsword, and swings it towards Caldon in agony. And so once again, armor class is 12. My attack bonus for my broadsword is +5, which means I need to roll 7 or higher. Ooh, 15. 15 plus 5 is 20. That's lovely. So, right now I'm going to do my 1d8 slashing damage. And he deals a total of 5. 5 hit points, which means that Caldon is now down to 4 health. So I'm going to say, I swing my sword as grateful as I can with one hand, holding my side where his scimitar buried into my hip, and I swing my sword, burying it into the shoulder that has my arrow in. That's going to be sharp and painful for him. So now Caldon's turn. So he's going to go, ugh. So he gets up and swings his scimitar once again. Now my armor class is 16. He has an attack bonus of +3, so he needs 13 or higher. I'm hoping he gets less because I don't want Talion to die. So 5. 5 plus 3, 8. As he swings his sword, he manages to trip over on some rocks and buries his blade into the corner of this boulder here, just next to you. I'm gonna say that he is going to once again attack with his broadsword. So Talion is going to raise up his sword and swing it down, attempting to try and behead Caldon, seeing as he's tripped and he's on the ground. So, once again, armor class is 12, attack bonus for my sword is +5, so I need 7 or higher. Can I do it? Can I do it? 11. 11 plus 5, 16. I definitely hit him. Yes! I have the 1d8 slashing damage. However, he has 4 hit points. If I get 4 or more, Caldon is defeated. He dies. So, can we do it? Can we do it? Oh, 5! Yes! So, the Loremaster is going to say, explain how you kill Caldon. Okay, so as I raise up my sword and I swing it down with as much strength as I can muster, slowly bleeding from my side, I manage to clip the back of his neck and cut straight through, killing him in an instant. Okay, so Caldon the Sleek has been defeated. So, what I think is going to happen now is, I'm going to say Talion, obviously after killing him, would probably decide to loot his body first. You don't find anything valuable on him except for his 2 choices of weaponry. His scimitar and his bow. I'm going to say, okay, well that scimitar probably costs a bit of money, but I'm probably not going to want to make a bit of coin off of it. I'm going to probably want to see what's inside this chest. So Talion is going to walk over to this chest, and he's going to try and pry it open. Make an athletics check. So athletics here, on the skills, is a strength skill, and I'm proficient with that, and it's a +7. So I'm going to say I'm going to need a 10. So I need to roll 3 or higher on this blue dice here. Oh, 19! Nice! So, 19 plus 7 is 26. So the Loremaster is going to say, as you bury your sword in between the door and the frame of the chest and you swing your sword upwards very hastily, the door rips open and reveals to you all sorts of jewels, gold and silver coins that you can possibly imagine. However, the coins are have dwarven inscriptions on them and drawings done unlike any you've ever seen. Can I identify what these inscriptions and these symbols are? Make a lore check. Okay, so a lore check. Here we go. So lore is an intelligence skill, +3. I'm going to say I'm going to need a 12. Oh, that went off camera. I got a 10. That's nice. So 10 plus 3 is 13, just 1 higher. So the Loremaster is going to say, you identify that the inscriptions of these gold coins of an ancient dwarven kingdom. I'm going to say, okay, well, seeing as this is an old dwarven mine, and these are probably the same inscriptions on the coins and the ones over here. I'll probably assume that all this gold maybe perhaps came from this mine. Maybe the dwarves mined this entire cave system, maybe found lots of gold and made it into coins, and that's how the wealth of Moria was made up. So maybe, you know, maybe that's just how it started. So I think what would happen then is whether Talion decided to take the chest with him, or empty as much of it as he could and keep it with him, or just, you know, leave the chest there and walk away. Talion, obviously being a nice guy, he'd probably then walk out, maybe taking Caldon's head with him and showing him that he killed Caldon. He'd probably walk out of the cave, having a good job done, finding Elrond at Rivendell and basically telling him about his story, about how he defeated Caldon and found everything he stole from the people that he's murdered. So yeah, that's basically it. That's pretty much how this game has gone, and I'm pretty happy with it. Alright guys, so that's basically how this little session went, so I'm pretty happy with it. I haven't obviously done any like experience points or anything for this. This was just to see how, basically how smoothly this game can go. To kind of test my improvisational skills as well for the game, because that's something that's very handy. So yeah, I think that went rather well. Obviously Talion probably went to Rivendell, got healed up by Elrond, sorry, or some of his people. That's probably when he gained some experience points. Maybe Elrond would have given him some of the gold that he stole and been like, here, you've done a good service, here's payment for that. So yeah, that's basically how it went. If you guys or anyone wants me to do any more of these, then just give me a little just give me obviously a comment and a like to basically show that you want to see more. I have created another character for Adventures in Middle-earth, and that is a hobbit thief actually, a lot like Bilbo Baggins basically. So if anyone wants to see me do a different type of story, one-off little 15-20 minute storyline, then go ahead, let me know in the comments, and yeah, that's basically it. So I want to thank you guys for obviously watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you do, make sure you hit the like button. Check out Golden Star Productions, link for that will be in the description, and check out everybody else's channels. Yeah, so thank you very much, and I'll see you very soon.